Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici, welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, and the channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. I'm excited because, as you know, I have a particular interest in the Chinese pen market. I think they've got some little, sneaky products all the time that they just spring on us, and it attracts interests. I know my viewers love to listen and love to look into those things. So here you have it. I have another offering from you. I think right before Christmas, I think that market is heating up. We see that we have several newcomers in that space. We have Mahjong that's been active all year. In fact, I have a Wing Sung offering that's about to be delivered, and finally Hongdian is back. I don't know what's happening with them, but they had been sleeping for a while. I had heard all kinds of rumors about them stopping production because some of their pens that there was complaints that they were snapping in the middle of the barrel, especially if you were looking at piston fillers with ink windows. You would drop the pen, a big steel pen, and it would crack right at the ink window. I frankly have not had any problems with any of my pens, and I have most of their pens, if not all. So I'm not sure, if that's true or not. And you can't believe everything you read on the internet, but that's what I read somewhere. But look, folks, we got another on Dieman. It's made out of stabilized wood. Imagine. So I'm looking forward to reviewing this for you. Stay tuned. I think we've got another gem from Hongdian. Stay tuned. Okay, yeah, this is the closer shot that I wanted you folks to take a look at. I think I'm going to do some of these macro shots in the future in my videos just to give you a more accurate depiction of the resin. Sometimes we don't get it from shots that are not as macro. But as you could see, this and here in this case it's wood, and which I understand is covered by resin to make it stabilized. You can see how beautiful it's turned out. It's very, very well polished. I mean, just the end here is maybe a little, weird because of the green there. But otherwise, the finial is also very, very nice. And one of the things I was disappointed in is that when I take a look at this center band, and everywhere else I said, you know what? This is probably the first Hongdian pen that doesn't have inscribed the name, the brand name, and the number of the model. And I was wrong, because there it is. You could see it's right underneath Hongdian. It's right there. And then hopefully my hands will not shake. Here you go. A7. Yes, Hongdian. You kept your tradition, which is good. The clip is kind of stiff, but I would say functional. So all to say is that this smooth finish is really, really nice. It opens up in one turn, and I got two nibs here. The first nib is this Hongdian Fine 1997. Now, This may very well be like the original batches of the Hongdian nibs. It doesn't look like the more recent batches. And then, of course, the other nib that I came with this is the lemon hand-polished medium, which we shall see. I'm going to see whether or not I'm going to ink this one up or the lemon, or maybe both. But for the time being, I did want to show you what the original Hongdian nib looks like. And that, to me, is the new feed. Now, is this the old or the new nibs? Let me check, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here you have the kind of the three models. I mean, there may be more, but this one here is the more recent one that I was familiar with, which are beautiful nibs. This one is on an older pen, which is kind of the older styled. And this is what I got with this pen. So it's a little bit different, but it appears to be just the engraving is kind of different. But I got to tell you, it really looks like the older nibs. And we'll see how that nib performs. I think I'm going to give you a writing sample with this nib, so that you can make up your mind to see whether or not it's worth paying that extra maybe $10, $20 for the lemon nib. Or you're better off maybe ordering a modern Hongdian nib. In terms of the feeds, you can see that in both those pens, those are the older feeds, and that this one does have the newer feed that Hongdian is kind of adopted in its pens. So there you have it. Now, in terms of what we see in the cap, let me just get my flashlight there and see if there's enough protection. Yeah, there's both a step. I'm not sure you could see it, but there's both a step and there's a complete kind of plastic insert there that right into the barrel. So I believe that this pen will do very just fine in terms of drying up. So there you have it. Again, that material is really, really nice. So I liked it. Let's just hope it writes the way I think it's going to write. Stay tuned. Just a wider angle or a wider shot, just to show you how this pen, what it looks like in your hands. Very comfortable, very nice size, and we'll be able to see the size comparison, compare it to a few other Hongdian pens that you're probably very familiar with. So very comfortable, kind of a light pen, but with some heft at the same time. It posts just magnificently, and I think it gives it a nice weight that some of you might even prefer. In fact, posts very, very nicely. So a good poster, opens up in one turn, looks very nice, decent size, and some pen. I like that material, unique, like the color. I think it comes in blue and in this green. I chose the green because these days I'm just in love with a green ink. So I thought of maybe putting some nice ink in there with some kind of that gold, kind of a goldish base as well. We'll try to match it up. But there you have it. That's the pen on the inside and on the outside. One thing I did want to show you before I forget. That ring there is absolutely smooth, not a problem at all. So whether you hold the pen up higher or lower, it's got a little bit of a flare. So again, very comfortable. And when I opened it up, I mean, the threads are very nice. You've got that very nice Hongdian branded, I'd say upscale sort of a converter. Very nice. It's got the little spring in there, a little ball in there, which sometimes is a pain, but it's supposed to do a job. And it is metal on metal, by the way. So that's why the threads are very smooth. There you have it. So I think that completes the design and features. We'll do some size and pen comparisons and be right back. Okay, so we're back with some pen and size comparisons. I've chosen all Hongdian pens that you're probably already familiar with, and so that gives you an idea of both the girth, the length, and the size of the subject pen. Starting from here, you have the 100 here, which is a beautiful pen, which kind of resembles in girth the cap, if you will. This is the A9. This is the 960. That's the 912. And that's the N1. So you can see there's a lot of similarities. It has kind of that M800 Pelican styled, sort of inspired, at least cap, with kind of a ring and ringy finials, if you will. I don't know how to describe it, but it's certainly not a dual-fold look. It's more of a Pelican look, if you will. But there you have it. It is a little bit shorter than some of them and equivalent to others. So that's the pen. The pens capped. Here are the pens uncapped. And again, very comparable to the others. Okay, much bigger than the N1. It's equivalent to the N12. Bigger than the 1960. Comparable also to the A9 because this has a number 8 size nib, which would explain the difference. Just a couple of millimeters there difference, and it's even bigger than the 100. So there you have the pens uncapped. Here are the pens posted. Now, there is this one here, the 960, which is probably one of the older versions. They hadn't quite gotten it right. It doesn't post properly, and it's all over that top, and so I've kind of slid it out of the way. But as you can see, it's comparable to the others. It gives you an idea. It's pretty comparable to the N1, the N12, and even the A9, and even the 100, if you will. So it gives you a pretty good sense of where it's situated in terms of size and when the pen is posted. So next, we'll take a look at some measurements, and then we'll get to that writing sample. Okay, so we're back for the writing sample. Now, for the inks, I had two choices. Originally, I thought I'd put in this wearing gold by the name of Path, and I'll show you the swatch in a minute. And then thought about it. This thing has a lot of gold sheen, and I felt that I wasn't going to give that pen a fair shake with, especially with that fine nib. So I didn't want to, kind of influence or badly influence the writing sample. So I'm going to stick to this Majon, a kind of a green, a muddy goldish green, which is very nice. I'll show you the two swatches. You can see that this is the wearing gold Path. And take a look at the green. I mean, the gold sheen in that is outstanding, but I was afraid that it might not perform in that pen. So I decided to go with this Majon green, light green instead, which is, I think, still a very good match. This leaf green would have been good as well, but I thought I'd show you that Majon, which is not expensive and which I recommend those inks. Very nice inks. So there you have it. Let's get to the writing sample. So this is the Hongdian A7, and it's in the green stabilized wood. The nib is a Hongdian fine number 6 steel. The ink, whoa, burped on me. Majon I will say light green, I'm sure there's a name, but I can't remember. Okay, so there you have it. There's a little burp there. Let me just get rid of it before I put my fingers on it. Don't know why that burped. Might have been just, well, it's kind of inking there. Now, I did... Okay, it wasn't tight. Yeah, because I replaced the lemon nib. So maybe I didn't tighten things up. But again, there's a burp there. But it's, I got to tell you, it's very wet and smooth. Is it constant? I think in every direction there does not appear to be any problem at all. It is a fine nib. There's a little bit of feedback, but not a scratchy feedback at all, just a feedback because it's, you know, a fine nib on a fine steel nib on paper. You know, that's normal, I would say. Reverse writing? Yeah, no. I would say it's not, there's a scratchy there and it was tearing the paper. So I would not recommend this for. So this nib is actually performing better than I had expected. Now, in terms of likes and dislikes, one, the build quality. Very good. I like the fact that they use different materials. You know, after their fiasco with the N24 at the beginning of the year where the cap kept cracking on us, I changed the cap 3 times. Twice it was cracked, and then the third time Etsy assured me that apparently they had fixed the problem and it hasn't cracked since. But this is a completely different sort of a process. They've covered it all up with resin, and that's why they call it stabilized wood. Okay? So there you have, the material is very nice. I think the nib, forgive the burping because that's me. I omitted to screw in the nib section properly. So the nib is very smooth. I give the nib an 8 on 10. I mean, there's very little in line variation. As you can see, it's a very stiff nib. Yeah, I mean, that's normal, that's pressing, and I'm not getting much more out of it. So very stiff nib, but that's okay. So the nib, I would give it an 8 on 10. Otherwise, I would give it more. So it's not one of those flexy sort of new Hongdian styled nibs. It isn't. In terms of value, I think the value is there. I think it's a nice pen. It posts, nice pen at the price. It posts wonderfully. You know, that's essentially the attributes. Dislikes, frankly, I can't find any dislikes. It's a nice pen. Is it a go-to pen? Absolutely. 8 on 10 for go-to. You know, is it an exciting pen that electrifies you? No. But on the other hand, I think it's a very nice, well-built, good-looking writing instrument. There you have it. Now, what I will do for you is I will replace this nib with the lemon nib that it came with to see if you guys think it's worth that extra few dollars. Be right back. Okay, so here's the, here's the nib. My camera will cooperate with me. Yeah, here it is. So that's the lemon nib. It's described as the Number 6, hand polished long knife lemon nib. So this is a long knife. So there may be that tipping that I don't like, which is kind of an architect. But we'll take a look at this, see how. I didn't really have a choice. I paid, what is it, 57 for it. Did I have a choice? Hold on, maybe I did have a choice. You know what? It's not giving me the price that I paid it. Let me just go back to my order. Yeah, I paid it $57 and I got both nibs in effect. Okay, so let's see how this pen writes. There we have it. I just cannot write with that nib. Hongdian and no, what is it? A7 green. Look at this. Yeah, I cannot write with this nib. And I'm blaming the nib type as opposed to the actual nib. Nib long. I mean, am I supposed to write? I don't know. I have no idea how to write with this nib. You know what? 0, 0, 0. I have no patience for this nib. Look at this. I mean, I paid extra money for this. Folks, if you have a choice, unless you know what you're doing with this nib, I wouldn't buy it. I really wouldn't. I'm going to put back, in fact, the original nib in that. It's just not worthwhile. It really isn't. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm back. I don't like the idea of trashing some product when maybe I'm the one who doesn't know how to use the product. And now it's been twice in a row where in some of these Chinese pens, I'm getting this long knife or long blade. And again, I apologize if I'm mixing the two. But the one I got with this Hongdian A7 is described, and I'm looking at the site as we speak, as a hand-polished long knife from Lemon. Now, hand-polished, I'm not quite sure what that means, but I get the sense that it's supposed to be like tuned, hand-tuned, I would imagine. And a long knife is, in effect, the fact that the nib is kind of an architect grind, if you will. And so I said to myself, you know what, that nib doesn't work for me, and maybe it's me. And this is the scribble that I just finished with that long knife lemon nib that I don't recommend. So I went out and I went back in my stock of nibs, and I took out, this is an Hongdian, again, kind of a grind there. You can see that it's an architect grind. You see the tip. So I said to myself, well, maybe I'll try this because I've had great success with this one. In fact, is it in my, where do I see it? One second. But in the pen comparisons we just did, I think it was in my N1. Yeah, it's in my N1, and my N1 wrote beautifully. I never had a problem with it. So what I did is I'm giving you a third nib, and if you can get your hands on this one, because look at the difference. So this is the Hongdian A7, and the nib is a Hongdian. Now I don't know if they call it a long knife or a long blade, but it has a architect type grind. And of course, what I mean by that is that the downstrokes are thin, but the side strokes are thicker. And you know what, folks? Look at the difference. Now, do I like this grind? No. Would I, do I appreciate it? No. But does this nib write? Absolutely. Take a look at that. I mean, it's very wet. compared to this garbage of lemon, there's no comparison. And it's too bad because this one, got the sense would have been even thicker, in thicker line than this Hongdian. But you know what? If you can get your hands on one of these Hongdian ones and you like that grind, I would not spend. Now it's twice that I get a nib that's allegedly hand polished, which in my view means that somebody did something to this nib by hand. You would think that it was tuned. They came right out of the box, not worthy of mention. So there you have it. I thought I'd add just a little twist to this review. Be right back. Okay, so there you have it. That's my review, folks. I think, you know what? I think this pen is another nice addition on the Hongdian line of offerings. It's different. We had a problem with the N24 and with that wooden cap. It took 3 tries for me to get one that hasn't cracked since. But this stabilized wood is completely different. It's stabilized wood, which means there's resin and there's wood in it. It's stronger, and the polish is beautiful. So I think Hongdian has done it again. Just don't buy that lemon long knife, whatever they call it. To me, it's garbage. It doesn't work. I'm not even going to try to repair it. Sorry. It might be me. It may be just the way I write with these kind of architect nibs. I just cannot write with them. But the nib I got is not worth the extra price. Stick to the Hongdian nib if you can. Save your money. And in fact, go out and get a Hongdian, the new version of the Hongdian nibs. They've got a little bit of a spring. And I think you would be better served. That's my conclusion. But otherwise, I recommend the pen. So I'm glad you can join me. Subscribe if you haven't. If you like this video, let me know. If you don't, also let me know. And stay tuned. It's autumn. We're kind of in Canada here. We're kind of, bracing ourselves for the winter. And, for me, it's fountain pen therapy. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having an absolute ball. And stay tuned for my upcoming reviews. I've got my nib series that's going to be put on, and I'm trying to space them out so I can deal with gems like this. But stay tuned for that as well. Got lots of stuff coming, lots of pen in the pipeline, and it's fountain pen therapy, folks. Stay tuned.